My name is Sarah W. Verville. I'm 28 years old, and I found out my boyfriend had publicly humiliated me on a Tuesday afternoon while I was halfway through a budget report. My best friend Chloe sent me a text. You need to see this. Beneath it was a TikTok link. I assumed she had sent me something funny, so I clicked without thinking. The video opened with bright, upbeat music. Brandon, my boyfriend of 2.5 years, was sitting on our couch. The gray sectional I had helped him choose and paid half of, holding up 5 fingers. The caption read, "Ranking my exes from worst to best." My stomach tightened before he even spoke. He lowered his first finger. Number 5, Sarah. My face grew hot. Sarah was safe, stable, and painfully boring. Like dating your financial advisor. He laughed. It was the same laugh I once thought sounded warm. 4 out of 10. Would not recommend if you actually want to feel alive. The video continued. He ranked women from college, a former coworker, and someone he had briefly dated before meeting me. Then he reached number 1. Madeline. His entire expression changed. Madeline was his ex-girlfriend from before we met. Actually exciting. Took risks. Made me feel like I was living instead of just existing. 9 out of 10. He gave the camera a thoughtful smile. Maybe I should call her. The video had 57,000 views. The comments were worse. Poor Sarah. Financial advisor energy. Safe women always finish last. Call Madeline. Brandon had pinned his own comment at the top. Sometimes safe just isn't enough. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. He had posted it 3 days earlier. 3 days. That morning, we had eaten breakfast together. He had kissed me before leaving and told me to have a good day. I left work early, claiming I had a migraine. It was not entirely a lie. When I entered our apartment around 4, Brandon was sitting on the same couch, scrolling through his phone. He looked up. You're home early. Is everything okay? I held up the video. Do you want to explain this? His face moved through surprise, guilt, and then irritation. Oh my God, you saw that? You ranked me last. It's a trend, Sarah. Everyone's doing it. You told 57,000 people I'm boring and rated me 4 out of 10. It's TikTok. It isn't real life. You pinned a comment saying safe isn't enough. He stood and crossed his arms. You're being too sensitive. This is exactly what I mean. Everything becomes serious with you. Something cold settled inside my chest. You publicly humiliated me, and I'm the problem? Maybe if you were more spontaneous, I wouldn't have to post things like that to feel something. Have you been talking to Madeline? The pause answered before he did. We've texted a little. How long? That isn't important. How long, Brandon? A few weeks. I continued staring at him. Maybe a month. He looked away. It's nothing. We're only catching up. A month of secretly talking to your ex-girlfriend is not nothing. His expression hardened. You know what? Fine. Maybe I am curious about her. Maybe I want to know if there's still something between us because this relationship isn't enough anymore. There it was. The truth beneath every joke. You're not enough anymore, Sarah. You're safe. Predictable. You go to your financial job, come home, watch something on television, and repeat it the next day. That's what my life becomes if I stay. I'm a financial analyst, I said quietly. He laughed without kindness. That is exactly what I mean. Who cares? It's all boring office work. And Madeline? She has vision. She wants to launch her own company. She takes risks. Madeline works part-time at a vape shop. She's building something. I stood. For the first time since seeing the video, I felt calm. Okay. Brandon frowned. Okay, what? I heard you. I picked up my keys. You want Madeline. You think I'm boring. You believe I'm not enough. His confidence faltered. I didn't say we had to break up. You said everything except the words. I opened the door. I'm staying with Chloe tonight. We'll handle the apartment later. Sarah, wait. You're seriously leaving? You spent a month talking to another woman, made a viral video humiliating me and told me I'm not enough. What reaction were you expecting? We should talk about this. We already did. I looked at him one last time. Good luck with Madeline. I hope she gives you all the excitement you're looking for. Then I closed the door before he could answer. I spent that night on Chloe's couch with my phone turned face down on the coffee table. Brandon called 11 times. Then he texted, Sarah, come home. You're overreacting. It was a stupid video. Madeline and I are just talking. A few minutes later, the tone changed. I didn't mean what I said. You know I love you. We can fix this. I read none of them twice. By morning, I had made my decision. Brandon worked at the elementary school from 7:30 until 3, which gave me enough time to remove myself from the apartment without another argument. Chloe borrowed her brother's truck. We arrived at 9. Walking back into the apartment felt strange. Everything looked exactly the same, but the place no longer felt like home. The couch sat beneath the window, still positioned where Brandon had filmed the video. I could almost see him there again, smiling while he reduced our relationship to a joke for strangers. Take what's yours, Chloe said gently. I packed my clothes, books, office equipment, kitchen supplies, and the television I had owned before Brandon moved in. I left the couch. I left the bed frame. I left nearly every piece of furniture we had purchased together. I did not want anything connected to the life he had mocked. It took 3 hours. Before leaving, I called our landlord. I explained that the relationship had ended and offered to pay my half of the rent for 2 additional months, while Brandon found a roommate or made other arrangements. The landlord sounded surprised. That's more than reasonable, he said. I'll prepare an amendment removing you from the lease after that period. I thanked him. I could have disappeared and left Brandon with the entire payment. But responsibility was not weakness. It was simply who I was. The last thing I did was place a note beneath Brandon's favorite coffee mug. I saw the video. I heard what you said. I hope Madeline is everything you're looking for. I'm out. Good luck with everything. Sarah. Then I blocked him. His number. Instagram. TikTok. Facebook. Every entrance into my life closed at once. Chloe helped me move everything into a storage unit while I searched for a new apartment. That evening, unknown numbers began sending messages. Please call me. You cannot just leave like this. Brandon is falling apart. One number called 7 times. I blocked each one without responding. For 1 week, I stayed with Chloe. Then I found a small 1-bedroom apartment across town. It was smaller than the place I had shared with Brandon, but it belonged entirely to me. The first weekend, I assembled furniture alone, hung framed prints above the sofa, and arranged my books exactly where I wanted them. No one called my choices boring. No one laughed at the way I organized the kitchen. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. I asked our mutual friends not to give me updates about Brandon. Most respected that request. I returned to work, joined a new gym, and started therapy. During my first session, the therapist asked how I felt about the breakup. Numb, I admitted. That makes sense, she said. You were humiliated and betrayed at the same time. Numbness can be your mind protecting you while it processes what happened. I had expected therapy to reveal that I had ignored obvious signs. Instead, it showed me how often I had confused patience with love. 6 weeks after I left, Chloe and I were having drinks after work when she hesitated. There's something you should probably know. I said I didn't want updates. I know, but this one might come up anyway. I waited. Brandon moved Madeline into the apartment. I felt a small pressure in my chest, but no surprise. How soon? About 2 weeks after you left. Of course. It's all over his social media, Chloe continued. They're posting constantly. Dinners, parties, captions about new beginnings. Good for them. She studied my face. Are you really okay? I don't know if I'm okay yet, but I'm better than I would be if I had stayed. Chloe nodded. For what it's worth, Brandon is an idiot. I smiled faintly. A safe, boring idiot? No. Stable is not boring. Stable is what adults call dependable. I appreciated the words, though I was not ready to believe them. Another month passed. I established a rhythm: work, gym, therapy, occasional dinners with friends. I even went on a coffee date with a man named Aaron whom I met at a professional conference. Nothing romantic developed, but the conversation was pleasant. He asked questions about my work and listened to the answers. He did not mock the fact that I enjoyed budgeting, planning, or quiet evenings. That alone felt unfamiliar. Then information about Brandon's new relationship began reaching me whether I wanted it or not. At a birthday party, our mutual friend Nicole pulled me aside. "Madeline doesn't have a real job." I sighed. "Nicole, I know you don't want gossip, but Brandon is paying for everything. She was supposed to start a company. Apparently, it's some cryptocurrency project. She keeps saying investors are coming, but nothing has happened." I looked across the room. This was his choice. "I know. I just thought you might want to know karma is working. I'm trying not to build my life around whether his is falling apart." But the cracks widened. Madeline borrowed money from Brandon. She used his car. She spent her days talking about opportunities, and her nights going out with friends. The exciting entrepreneur Brandon had admired needed an elementary school teacher to fund her entire lifestyle. Still, I felt no satisfaction, only distance. Then, 3 months after I left, Nicole called me during lunch. Her voice was breathless. "Sarah, have you heard what happened?" "What?" "Someone sent Brandon's TikTok video to the school district." My stomach dropped. A parent recognized him. They complained that the video was inappropriate for a teacher and showed terrible judgment. I sat down slowly. "He's on administrative leave," Nicole continued. "The superintendent is investigating. Parents are sharing the video in a Facebook group." I did not know what to say. Then Nicole added, "Madeline left him." "What?" "The same day he was suspended. She said she couldn't deal with the drama and needed to protect her energy." The cruelty was almost perfectly symmetrical. "She moved out?" "Yes. And apparently, Brandon found messages between her and another woman from their friend group. She had been planning to move in with her." I closed my eyes. Everything Brandon had called exciting had become instability the moment he needed loyalty. "Is he okay?" I asked before I could stop myself. Nicole paused. "Probably not. His parents are furious. His sister barely speaks to him. He may lose his teaching license." After the call, I sat alone in the break room. I had wanted him to understand that what he did was wrong. I had not wanted his entire life to collapse, but I did not reach out. Compassion did not require reopening the door. A few days later, a message arrived from another unknown number. "Hey, I know it's been a while." Then, "I've been thinking about us." I knew exactly who it was. I blocked the number. 2 weeks after I blocked the first number, my phone rang from another one I did not recognize. I almost ignored it. I was expecting a call from a contractor about a leaking pipe in my apartment, so I answered. "Hello? Sarah?" Brandon's voice sounded smaller than I remembered. Tentative. Almost frightened. I should have hung up immediately. Instead, I stayed silent. "Oh my God," he whispered. "You answered. What do you want, Brandon?" "I've been trying to reach you." "I know. I messed up." The words came quickly, as though he had practiced them. "I really messed up. I see that now." I leaned against the kitchen counter. He continued before I could answer. "Things with Madeline fell apart. She wasn't who I thought she was. She was using me for money, for the apartment, for everything. I'm sorry that happened. I found out she had been messaging other people the whole time. She left the second things got difficult." The irony hung between us. Brandon seemed to hear it too because his voice dropped. "I know what you're thinking." "You don't." "Yes, I do. You're thinking I deserve it." I looked out the window at the city lights. "This isn't about what you deserve. I may lose my job." His breathing became uneven. "The investigation is still happening, but the district put me on leave. Parents keep sharing the video. The principal won't even look me in the eye." I said nothing. I wish I had never posted it, he whispered. There was a pause. Then he added, I wish I had never said those things about you. That was closer to an apology, but still, not enough. Okay, I said. Okay? What do you want me to say? I miss you. The words came out broken. You were good to me. You were always good to me, and I treated that like it was something pathetic. I closed my eyes. For months, I had imagined hearing those words. Now they felt like something delivered to the wrong address. I was immature, he continued. I was stupid. I thought excitement meant instability. I thought someone making me anxious meant passion. I hope you understand the difference now. I do. He inhaled sharply. Do you think we could meet? Just for coffee. 5 minutes. No. The answer came without hesitation. Please, Sarah. I don't think that's a good idea. I need to explain. You already explained. That night I was angry. I didn't mean everything I said. You posted the video 3 days before I found it. Silence. That wasn't one angry moment, I continued. That was a decision you recorded, edited, uploaded, and left online while strangers mocked me. I know. You pinned a comment. I know. You had been speaking to Madeline for a month. His voice cracked. I know. And now that she's gone and your job is at risk, you miss me. That isn't fair. It's accurate. No, I missed you before. Then why did it take losing everything for you to say it? He had no answer. Finally, he whispered, I don't know. I softened slightly, but not enough to open the door. I hope you figure things out, Brandon. Truly. Without you? Yes. His breathing changed. So you've moved on? I'm in a different place now. It's only been 3 months. 3 months is enough time to understand I don't want to return to someone who needed to lose me before he respected me. Sarah, please don't hang up. I'm not part of your recovery process. Then I ended the call. My hands trembled afterward, not from sadness, from adrenaline. I had spent years avoiding conflict because I thought boundaries made me cruel. That call proved the opposite. A boundary was simply a decision not to abandon myself again. I blocked the number. 1 week later, Brandon's younger sister, Emily, contacted me. We had always been friendly, and for a moment I considered answering. Then I remembered she was still his family. Sarah, do you have a minute? She asked. What's going on? Brandon told me you spoke. Briefly. He's really struggling. I know. He may lose his teaching license. Madeline left. He can't afford the apartment alone. I'm sorry. Emily's voice sharpened. He needs support. He has family. He needs you. No. The words surprised both of us. Emily went quiet. Sarah, he made a mistake. He made several choices. The video was stupid, but his entire life is falling apart over it. The video exposed how he treated me. It didn't create the behavior. He's paying more than enough. This is not punishment from me. You could at least talk to him. I already did. 5 minutes over coffee. That's all he wants. No. Her frustration became obvious. You were almost part of this family. I cared about your family. Then act like it. I took a slow breath. Emily. Brandon humiliated me publicly, emotionally cheated with his ex-girlfriend, and told me I was not enough. He replaced me within 2 weeks. Now that the replacement failed, you're asking me to return as emotional support. He was confused. We're adults. He still loves you. He loved what I provided. That's cold. No, it's honest. Emily's tone turned icy. Maybe he was right about you. Maybe you are too safe and detached to handle a real relationship. The insult landed, but it no longer had power. Maybe I am. She seemed unprepared for that response. Either way, I need you to respect my decision. Do not contact me about Brandon again. I hung up. That evening, messages began arriving from unfamiliar numbers. At first, they were pleading. You really don't care? I lost everything. You were supposed to be different. Then they became cruel. You are boring. No man will ever want someone as cold as you. Madeline was 10 times the woman you will ever be. At least she knew how to make me feel alive. I recognized Brandon's pattern immediately. The apology had only lasted as long as he believed it might work. Once it failed, the contempt returned. I took screenshots of every message and saved them in a folder. Not because I planned revenge, because I wanted proof in case he escalated. Then I blocked each number. 5 months passed. Real months. Quiet months. The kind that rebuilt me without requiring dramatic moments. I received a promotion to senior financial analyst with a significant raise. I moved into a larger 2-bedroom apartment with tall windows and a view of the river. I went to the gym 4 times a week and finally slept through the night without checking my phone. Therapy helped me understand something Brandon never had. Stability was not the absence of passion, it was the presence of safety. Then I met Daniel. He was a corporate attorney I encountered at a professional conference. We ended up seated beside each other at dinner and spent nearly 2 hours talking. He was intelligent, calm, and quietly funny. When I explained my work, he listened. He did not call budgeting dull. He called it impressive. We began dating slowly. No declarations, no games, no pressure to perform excitement. Daniel liked quiet evenings, planned weekends, and conversations that did not become competitions. Being with him felt natural. For the first time, safe did not sound like an insult. It sounded like home. Daniel and I had been dating for 2 months when Chloe invited us to her engagement party. She and her fiancé, Marcus, had reserved the second floor of a downtown restaurant. The invitation promised drinks, dinner, and enough people that I assumed I could disappear into the crowd if necessary. I did not ask whether Brandon would attend. Chloe was my closest friend. Marcus had known Brandon casually, but they had never been especially close. I believed the risk was small. I was wrong. Daniel and I arrived shortly after 7. The room was already full, with music playing softly beneath dozens of conversations. Chloe hugged us near the entrance and immediately began introducing Daniel to everyone. He handled it effortlessly. He remembered names, asked thoughtful questions, and never made me feel like I had to manage him. Then I saw Brandon. He stood alone near the bar, wearing a black suit that looked slightly too formal for the party. He had lost weight. His face appeared pale and exhaustion had settled beneath his eyes. Our gazes met across the room. Shock moved through his expression first, then pain. Finally, he arranged his features into something neutral. "That's him, isn't it?" Daniel asked quietly. "Yes." He glanced at me. "Do you want to leave?" "No." The answer surprised me with how certain it sounded. "This is Chloe's night. I'm not giving him the power to ruin it." Daniel squeezed my hand once. For the next hour, I ignored Brandon. I laughed with friends, listened to Marcus tell the story of his disastrous first proposal attempt, and watched Daniel fit into my life with almost unsettling ease. Every so often, I felt Brandon staring. I never looked back long enough to confirm it. Later, Daniel went to speak with one of Marcus's coworkers while I walked toward the bar. That was when Brandon approached. "Sarah." I turned. "Brandon." His hands twisted together. "I didn't know you would be here." "Chloe is my best friend." "Right, of course." His eyes moved past me, searching the room. "The man you came with. Is that Daniel?" "Yes." "So it's serious?" "We're dating." He nodded slowly. "You look good." "Thank you." The silence between us felt less painful than awkward. Brandon took a breath. "I've wanted to apologize properly." "You already apologized." "Not the way I should have." I remained still. He continued. "I lost my job." "I heard." "The district completed the investigation. They said the video showed poor judgment and damaged trust with parents." His voice shook. "My teaching license was suspended. I moved back in with my parents." "I'm sorry." "Are you?" The question came out sharper than he intended. I studied him. "I don't enjoy seeing your life fall apart, but I also don't believe I caused it." "I know." He looked toward the floor. I blamed you for a long time. That was easier than blaming yourself? Yes. The admission surprised me. He swallowed. Madeline used me. She moved in, let me pay for everything, then left when the school suspended me. I found out she had been talking to someone else almost the entire time. That sounds painful. It was. He looked at me again. But losing her wasn't the worst part. I already knew what he planned to say. Losing you was. I said nothing. You were loyal, he continued. You made life easier. You believed in me. I called all of that boring because I wanted to feel exciting. His eyes grew wet. I was wrong about you. It doesn't matter anymore. He flinched. It matters to me. That is not the same thing. Do you ever think about us? No. The honesty landed between us like a closed door. He stared. Never? I think about what I learned. I don't miss the relationship. We were together for almost 3 years. Yes. And now I'm just someone you used to know? You're someone I used to love. His expression softened with hope. Then I continued. That doesn't mean I still do. Brandon looked toward Daniel, who was now speaking with Chloe near the opposite side of the room. Does he know everything? He knows my last relationship ended badly. That's all? That's all he needs to know. Brandon's face tightened. You reduced us to one sentence? You reduced me to a rating in a TikTok video. He closed his eyes briefly. I deserved that. I'm not trying to hurt you. I know. That's what makes it worse. He stepped closer. I'm in therapy now. Real therapy. Not 3 sessions so I could say I tried. That's good. I'm working on why I sabotage things, why I chase instability and call it passion. I hope it helps. Could we get coffee? No. Just once. There is nothing left to repair. I need to make things right. You cannot make the past right. You can only become better after it. His voice cracked. Is there any chance at all? Daniel appeared beside me before I answered, gently placing his hand against the small of my back. Everything okay? Yes. I looked at Brandon. This is Daniel. Daniel extended his hand. Nice to meet you. Brandon shook it reluctantly. Brandon. I know, Daniel said calmly. Brandon's gaze fell to Daniel's hand near my waist. He seems safe, he said bitterly. Daniel remained silent. I smiled faintly. He is. Brandon looked at me. And that's enough for you now? No. I took Daniel's hand. It's more than enough. Brandon's expression collapsed. For months, he had treated safety as an insult. Now, he finally understood it had been the most valuable thing he ever threw away. Brandon stood there for several seconds after I took Daniel's hand. The noise of the engagement party continued around us. Glasses clinked, someone laughed near the windows, and Chloe's mother called for everyone to gather for a photograph. But Brandon seemed unable to hear any of it. His eyes remained fixed on our joined hands. I used to think safe meant boring, he said quietly. Daniel glanced at me but did not interrupt. Brandon swallowed. I thought excitement was someone making me uncertain. Someone disappearing, coming back, making me wonder whether I mattered. I said nothing. He gave a weak laugh. Madeline did all of that. And did it make you happy? I asked. No. The answer came immediately. It made me anxious. But I kept telling myself anxiety was passion because admitting the truth would mean admitting I destroyed something good for nothing. His voice cracked on the final word. For the first time, there was no anger in him, no blame, only the exhaustion of a man who had finally run out of excuses. I'm sorry, Sarah. I know. No, I mean it differently now. He looked directly at me. I'm sorry I made that video. I'm sorry I let strangers laugh at you. I'm sorry I compared you to women from my past and treated your loyalty like a flaw. His eyes shone under the warm lights. I'm sorry I talked to Madeline behind your back. And I'm sorry that when you confronted me, I made you feel weak for being hurt. The apology was everything I once thought I needed. Months earlier, it might have broken me. Now, it only confirmed how far away I had moved. I appreciate you saying that, I replied. Hope flickered across his face. Then I continued. But it doesn't change anything. He looked down. I figured. Chloe called my name from across the room. I raised a hand to show I was coming. Brandon stepped aside. Are you happy? He asked. Yes. With him? With myself first. That answer seemed to affect him more than any mention of Daniel. Brandon nodded slowly. I hope I get there someday. You can. Do you really believe that? Yes. But not by returning to the person you hurt and asking her to rebuild you. He took a shaky breath. You always knew how to say things clearly. I learned. He smiled sadly. Because of me. In spite of you. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Daniel gently squeezed my hand. We should join the picture. I nodded. Take care of yourself, Brandon. You too, Sarah. I turned away. This time I did not feel his eyes following me, and I did not look back. Later that night, Daniel and I walked toward the parking garage while the city reflected against the wet pavement. He waited until we reached the car before asking, Was that difficult? No. Not even a little? I considered the question. It was strange. How? I used to imagine that moment, him apologizing, admitting I was right, wanting me back. And? I thought it would feel like winning. Daniel opened the passenger door for me. What did it feel like? Like hearing the ending of a story I stopped reading months ago. He smiled. That sounds healthier than winning. On the drive home, he told me about a ridiculous conversation he had with Marcus's uncle. I listened. I laughed. I stayed present. Brandon did not occupy the space between us. When we reached my apartment, my phone buzzed. Another unknown number. For a second, I assumed it was him. I did not open the message. I blocked the number and placed the phone on the kitchen counter. The following morning, I opened the folder containing screenshots of Brandon's cruel messages. There were dozens. You're boring. No one will want you. Madeline is better than you. Each sentence had once felt like evidence I might need to defend myself. Now they looked like messages sent to a woman I no longer recognized. I deleted the folder. Not because I forgave what he had done. Because I no longer needed proof. 3 weeks passed without another message. Maybe Brandon finally accepted the boundary. Maybe therapy helped him understand that remorse did not entitle him to access. Or maybe he simply found someone else to blame. I stopped wondering. Daniel and I began planning a weekend trip to a cabin several hours north of the city. Nothing extravagant. No clubs. No impulsive flights. Just hiking, cooking, reading near a fireplace, and waking up without alarms. When I told Chloe, she laughed. That sounds beautifully boring. It does. And you're excited? Very. The word no longer embarrassed me. For years, I thought love needed unpredictability to remain alive. Brandon had convinced me that calmness meant something was missing. He was wrong. There was excitement in being understood. There was passion in trust. There was freedom in knowing the person beside you would not humiliate you for entertainment. At the cabin, Daniel and I spent one evening sitting on the porch beneath a sky crowded with stars. He wrapped a blanket around my shoulders. You're quiet, he said. I'm happy. That's allowed. I smiled. Brandon once rated me 4 out of 10 because I was stable. He called me safe as though safety were a failure. But with the right person, safety was not the absence of love. It was where love was finally able to grow. I did not lose 2.5 years. I gained the certainty that I would never again beg someone to recognize my worth. Brandon wanted someone who made him feel alive through chaos. I wanted someone who made life feel worth living through peace. In the end, he got the excitement he demanded. He lost his job, his apartment, Madeline, and the woman who had once stood beside him without conditions. I did not celebrate his collapse. I simply stopped volunteering to rescue him from it. He had publicly ranked me last. But his opinion was never the final score. For Daniel, I was not too safe. I was trusted. For myself, I was not boring. I was whole. And for the first time, being exactly enough did not require anyone else's approval.